500 stone of muscle, 20 mighty man mountains, 16 disciplines, 4 heats, but ultimately only one winner. Welcome to Britain's Strongest Man 2008. For centuries, man has been fascinated by feats of strength. And for the last 30 years, Britain's Strongest Man has brought together the finest talent from the 4 corners of the United Kingdom. And this year is no exception. We're back in the seaside resort of Minehead with the most powerful lineup in the competition's history. Let's meet the contenders taking part in the first of our 4 heats. From England, Darren Sadler. From Birmingham, Dean Slater making his first appearance. Another debutant, Gary Gardner. The ever-popular Jimmy Marcoux. And finally, Scotland's hard man, Lewis McLean. Now, our first event is a cocktail of 2 strongman favourites mixed into one, the tyre flip and the farmer's walk. Talking us through the event down on the seafront, our tournament referee, Colin Bryce.
Thanks, Martin. The first element of this power medley is this giant tyre. You have to flip this beauty 4 times down the course. It weighs 400 kilograms. But if that wasn't hard enough, you then have to grab these farmer's walk implements. It's a classic event. You have to lift them up. They weigh 125 kilos each, run them 15 meters down the course, all the way over the line. It's a fast and explosive start to Britain's Strongest Man.
Well, there's a nice breeze, the sun is shining. It's a perfect day just to sit on the beach and relax and do nothing. Unless you're a strongman competitor, of course. Then you've just got to mess around with big tyres and anvils and, hello, somebody's on television.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our first 2 competitors. In lane 2 from Scotland, Lewis McLean.
Lewis McLean stepping up from Fort William.
And in lane 1 from England, Gary Gardner.
Who is a real big fella, 2 meters 2, which that's 6'9" in old money. From Richmond in North Yorkshire. Now,
ready?
Now, what about the height thing? Does that give him an advantage? 4 flips, these things 400 kilos, and keeping it moving is the key. Gardner's got his nose slightly in front here. But here comes McLean. Gardner's building up a big lead now as the Scotsman starts to struggle. And that's the 4th flip. He doesn't need a 5th one. And yeah, he's just found out that he's done enough. Now that's allowed McLean just to sneak closer. So Gardner's got to find a second wind here, and can McLean nick it? No, he can't. Gardner just storms away. 30.97. Is that going to be good enough for a top 2 finish? Lewis McLean settles for 34.78, but he nearly went for a 5th one here. And then just decided, no, took a look at the referee and said 4's enough. 4 was more than enough.
I don't know, I lost count, just kept flipping it. And then I ran out of space, I thought, oh, I better pick the anvils up now.
Well, the fella in yellow, of course, needs no introduction, Darren Sadler. But what about this fella, Dean Slater?
In lane 3, Dean Slater from England.
A newcomer to Britain's Strongest Man. He's certainly got the tats.
In lane 2, Darren Sadler from England.
Just peering over the top of this tyre, the little fella.
And in lane 1, Jimmy Marcoux from England.
And the ever-popular Albanian Jimmy Marcoux.
2 positions, ready?
Now, Marcoux and Sadler are the form horses out of this 5-man field. Let's see what they can do there. The guys that have been at the highest level. But Slater's staying with him at the moment on the far side. Jimmy starting to pull together. Now Sadler's made his move and Marku's made his move, and Slater, just as I said, he was keeping it together. That was the kiss of death for him. Sadler and Marku neck and neck. So they'll take the top 2 spots, and Slater's time doesn't look too bad either. I think, yeah, he gets 3rd. But it's the form horses that rose to the top of this one.
Are you disappointed?
Not all. First event, so nothing to be disappointed.
Darren, obviously you two had a big fight last year, and you're both in the same heat again this year. How do you think about getting this one over Jimmy?
It just keeps going, doesn't it, you know, but it's nice when everyone's so close, because it makes you go a bit faster.
So Jimmy and Darren, the heat favourites, live up to expectations. Find out if they can also crack the safe lift after the break. Welcome back to the beautiful Somerset resort of Minehead. Let's head down to our tournament referee on the seafront who'll explain the action.
So our next event is the safe lift. You have to lift these 2 safes weighing 115 kilos up, press them overhead to arm's length for as many reps as possible in 75 seconds. The difficulty is they swing about, so technique as much as power is important here. We'll find out who's done their homework.
Well, it's true what they say about Minehead. It's a safe haven.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our first competitor. From England, Gary Gardner.
My name's Gary Gardner from Skeeby in North Yorkshire. I'm 29 years old and I'm an environmental coordinator. I've been training for the last 10 months with Mark Westerby. I've not competed against any of them, but I've got a lot of respect for them. I like the safe lift, deadlifting, stones, I like the stones. Wrestling. I bruise like a peach, but I'll be alright. I'm not here to mess around. I'm here to just see how good I am, and if I'm not good this year, be better next year. I think I have to be daft to do it.
Take your position. Ready, lift.
Got this huge wingspan, hasn't he, Gary? And you would think in an event like this it would be a disadvantage because he's just got to get those safes moving so much more. But he started off okay. Oh, and there you go, the old commentator's curse once again, but he's put another one in. But look how much those safes are moving off their spot. You really don't want them moving around. The stiller you can keep them, the better.
They swing around just so much. And the problem for Gary, of course, is he's got Darren and Jimmy coming afterwards, so he's under real pressure here.
Darren and Jimmy much more compact in their frames. And a lot of experience of doing this as well, but Gary's got this thing, the old rugby union player. He's new to strongman. This is a good learning experience for him, but right now, it's a suffering experience. Well, he's put another one in. This is gutsy effort from Gary, and it must feel to him every time he lifts those safes up, the breeze picks up and just starts swinging those safes around a little bit extra. But he's close to the edge of the limit of his endurance here, but he's put another one in. Tremendous effort. Can he pull another one in? Double figures would be a great achievement for a guy that's new to strongman, but 9, not shabby, because after 4 it looked like he was struggling, and he really did keep it together well. Darren Sadler, absolutely perfectly built for this.
From England, Darren Sadler. And from Scotland, Lewis McLean.
Lewis has got plenty of support with him. He's going to need all the help he can get against Darren Sadler. He really doesn't like his nickname of the Pocket Rocket.
Ready, lift.
But it's definitely an advantage for this one. As you can see, he just has to do so much less than some of the other guys because he is so compact. Just moving ahead there of Lewis as Lewis is taking the safe and steady route. That was a bit of a wobbly one from the Scotsman. Darren just looking very, very composed. You would expect double figures effortlessly from Sadler.
He's getting a good drive with his legs, Sadler, as he gets underneath and almost jerks it overhead and catches it at the top. So Lewis is trying to press them out.
Well, Lewis is getting an extension problem here. He only just made that one. That was right on the border. Has he got another one? No, he hasn't. They're not giving him that one. So they were generous last time, but they were not so generous this time. And this it's that last extension and keeping the control in there. He's lost it completely. Well, that could have been nasty. That could have been dangerous. Sadler, of course, couldn't care less. It looks like he could go on quite comfortably through the full 75 seconds. This is what we expected from Sadler. He's set the bar very, very high indeed, the little man. Lewis has had enough. 5, I think, is going to be his limit. Now Sadler just decides to take a little breather, but 17 is going to take some beating, and Lewis McLean just wanted to get away from there. He just couldn't lock those elbows. For Sadler, though, the technique was perfect. Absolute textbook stuff. He's done his homework, hasn't he?
Darren Sadler, 17 repetitions. You've got to be thrilled with that.
Yeah, I'm very happy with it. It's just not conventional because it moves around a lot. But yeah, I'm happy enough with that.
I mean, it's not the weight, is it? Describe the difficulty of this.
It's just very uneven and unbalanced, so with a normal bar, you press it, it goes where it goes up or down, where with this it swings around, so makes it a lot heavier.
So you described him as the shadow before. You got the shadow to follow you now, Jimmy Marcoux. What do you think of Jimmy at this kind of event? Can he beat you?
Maybe. He's a very good presser. If he does, he does.
Here comes the shadow. He's brought his cheerleaders with him.
From England, Jimmy Marcoux.
So popular, isn't he? Really has been adopted by the strongman crowd.
And also from England, Dean Slater.
Yeah, Slater looking studious, Jimmy looking very relaxed.
My name is Jimmy Marcoux. I'm 33 years old and I live in Harrow Hill, London. I came from Albania 12 years ago. Many great white sand beaches over there. It's a beautiful place. I'm very happy to live in UK and I feel I'm at home, and I would like to give something back to my adopted country. Against Darren or any other guys, it doesn't matter. I like to beat everyone there. That's my game.
Take your positions. Ready, lift.
Well, he had a good start, Marco, didn't he? Just tucked in behind Darren Sadler on the tyre flip and the farmer's walk. But Jimmy has been in the wars. That's quite a bump he's got on his forehead. He was in a car crash. There were some doubts whether he was actually going to be able to compete here. He's on medication. But, was that a little wobble there? Meanwhile, Slater is matching him. Slater's going well. This is terrific experience for the man from Birmingham. He's not expected to knock Sadler or Marcoux out of the top 2 spots, but he could be a rising star of the game. And he'll certainly want to make sure he takes at least 3rd place here. But for Marcoux, well, his target is to beat 17, because that's where Sadler had to stop, and he's going okay so far.
Oh, you can see that Jimmy and Darren Sadler have seen these implements before at World's Strongest Man and Britain's Strongest Man. Look at the technique. Very wide arms from Jimmy as well. Blasting it with his legs, while as you can see Dean struggling to press it out.
But Dean has levelled Lewis McLean, so he'll get a share of the 3rd place. Marcoux's asking how many's he done, because he knows exactly how many Sadler's done. He needs one more to match that. He's got it. Now, can he find one more as the clock continues to tick? And no, Slater can't find one, I don't think, either, and it's going to be a pair of ties in this one. A tie for 1st, a tie for 3rd. That's good competition. Yeah, welcome to the big league, Dean. Well, Jimmy knew what the target was, and he had to match it.
Jimmy Marcoux, you managed to equal Darren there, 17 reps. The crowd were pleased with that. Are you happy with that?
No, I'm not happy. I should be in 20 at least.
How many?
20, 21.
Why do you think you did underperform then?
Just not feeling very well.
So, what was the reason then?
Well, I take some tablets, antibiotics, so they don't make you feel very well, so I should get better in those days.
Bless, Jimmy had an accident a couple of days ago. Well done, Jimmy Marcoux. 17 reps.
Thank you, thank you.
Jimmy and Darren dominate the safe lift, proving just how much experience counts in the more technical events. It's already looking like a two-horse race in the overall standings, and both Dean Slater and Gary Gardner are going to have to put in a strong showing soon if they want to remain in contention. Now we've moved from the seafront down onto the beach, and we're switching from a static event to a race. Colin, what's in store for these guys?
Well, Martin, this is the barrel and sack load. You have to lift these 2 barrels and 2 sacks, each weighing 100 kilos, and run them 8 meters down to that platform. But it's not so much the weight, the difficulty is the sand underfoot.
Sounds tough. Let's see if this one's going to have them over a barrel.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our first 2 competitors. From Scotland, Lewis McLean. From England, Gary Gardner.
Lewis McLean, I'm 34, I'm a joiner from Fort William. I was always powerlifting I did before, Scottish powerlifting champ. I also played rugby as well. I just enjoy coming here, like, so. I mean, I know Jimmy's going to be tough, Dan's going to be tough, and I don't know the other 2 boys at all, like. Stones, I like the stones. But anything to do with lifting and moving as well, I like that, so the events are a wee bit better this year for me.
Take your position!
Well, this is no fun in the sand, is it? The barrels, the bags, the platform, and all that sand between them, and that sand just drains the energy out of your legs. And then the barrels and the bags drain the energy out of your arms, so you don't have a whole lot left at the back end of it. Gardner's got his nose in front, but here comes Lewis McLean. Oh no, Lewis has stumbled with that first bag. I think he was just caught by just how heavy it is. Gardner is playing it safe and steady. McLean's got a bit of making up to do here if he wants to try and nick it, and he's made it. Now it's a sprint, and who's going to get it? Neck and neck. That's a photo finish, but Gardner just made it. 36.2, but McLean pushed him all the way. That was close.
2 very fit men there, but the rugby player, you can see those years of running up and down a pitch paid off.
In lane 1 from England, Jimmy Marcoux. In lane 2 from England, Dean Slater. In lane 3 from England, Darren Sadler.
So businesslike, isn't he, the little fella?
I've tried to sort of tailor-make my life to suit strongman with opening a gym and how I live my life. A lot of it goes around strongman, which might be a bit sad to some people, but that's probably why I do quite well at it. I came 3rd in the Britain's Strongest Man last year, which I was happy with. This year, I'm hoping to improve on that, obviously. Like everybody else, I want to have a go at winning it. This year, the heats, I think, are a lot harder than last year. The main guys in my heat that are threats are probably Jimmy Marcoux and Dean Slater. Last year, Jimmy Marcoux was half a point in front of me, and we ended up basically came down to the stones and I won. But maybe that's playing on Jimmy's mind a bit, and he might want a bit of revenge. I'm looking forward to the faster events, probably the barrel and sack load, the medley. We've been a bit lighter and a bit faster than some of the other guys. At World's Strongest Man in 2006, I made a bit of a mistake, and it cost me a place in the final. I didn't load a barrel properly, slipped off a platform, and obviously I'm just trying not to make the mistakes because they cost so much. You know, one little slip and it costs you a lot of points.
Take your position.
Yes, Sadler with some demons to exercise. At first he's got to deal with Jimmy and possibly Dean Slater as well here, but you can be sure that something that separates the world-class strongmen from the pack is that you make a mistake, you learn from it, you don't repeat it. It would be a major shock if Sadler were to make the same mistake again. And he's got a good jump on Jimmy Marcoux here. Oh, that sack's sort of lurking there and has fallen off. Well,
Darren, you're going to have to put the other sack back on.
What
again.
about that? He's been told he's got to put it back
Darren,
on.
you have to one more sack to
And
put
how
on.
about that? Once again, it's loading up the podium that's proved to be his problem, and Marcoux can come and steal this, and does.
Time starts to Jimmy.
Well, Jimmy Marcoux benefits from another
off.
mistake from Darren Sadler, and no wonder he's doing cartwheels. Slater gets 45-48, and Sadler, I'm sure, can barely believe what's just happened.
Well, Darren, you've had a little bit of time to think about it. Desperately bad luck there on the barrel and the sack load.
Yeah, I was gutted because I was so far in front, you know, and it was a banker event. That's why to make myself nice and secure. So, you know, I'd secure a place in final, but now I put myself in a position where I've got a lot more hard work to do. Just a bit annoying that I was going so fast and all the work was for nothing, you know.
Well, Sadler's slip-up means he finishes last in one of his favourite events, while Gary Gardner takes a surprise victory ahead of Lewis McLean. It's a win that puts Gardner right back in contention. He's just a point off second place. Neither of the top two can afford any more mistakes. Jimmy, well done, puffing hard. How did that feel?
Felt great. But I pulled the muscle in my back, you know, feeling of my best shape, so I was quite happy to do well on that one.
And Dean, it seems as though that the pressure and the test really seems to creep up on you as you're running down that course.
It's just the sand makes it so difficult. Because the barrels and the sacks, not really heavy, but on the sand, it's very hard.
Well, well done, guys. Congratulations, hard work.
And if it's hard work now for Dean, I've got some bad news. It gets even worse after the break. Welcome back to Minehead. Peace and tranquility all around wherever you look. But that peace and tranquility is about to be broken.
Now, we all know how competitive these guys are. They're phenomenally powerful. I always get the feeling they'd like to make things a little bit more personal, get one-on-one with each other. Now, they have the opportunity because for the first time, we have wrestling in Britain's Strongest Man. Colin, what have they got to do?
Big fella, come closer. One hand on the inside, one hand on the outside of the shoulder. A little like a sumo contest, you have to try and push the other man outside the circle. That'll get you 1 point. If you throw him to the ground, that'll get you a half-point victory.
Things are going to get very, very physical.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our first two competitors. From England, Dean Slater. And from England, Jimmy Marcoux.
And this is going to be a very new experience for these guys. Getting mano a mano down there on the sand.
One hand inside and outside of the shoulder.
It's not just about strength, obviously. So much
Take
technique,
the strain, wrestle.
leverage, so important, balance. You can overcook it. Yeah, Marcoux had a foot out there.
1 point, Dean Slater.
There you go. Slater found himself on the defensive, but he was able to use Marcoux's aggression against him by just spinning him round and pushing him out of the ring. So Slater stays in. And it's a good big un
Okay, come together,
against
guys.
a good little un.
Hands on shoulders.
In boxing, they say the good big un will always win. But what about a bit of strongman wrestling? These fellas don't
Take
quite
the
know where to put their
strain,
hands, do
wrestle.
they, at the moment? And, oh, different
Half-point
technique.
victory to Sadler.
Different technique from Sadler. Caught him stone cold. Well, the shock tactic works.
Together, guys, hands on shoulders.
Now, does it help to be 6'9",
Ready,
or is it a
wrestle.
hindrance? Let's find out. Gardner up against the Scotsman. Oh, having a little Highland fling going on there, and it's the Highlander that was flung.
Point to Gardner.
Gary Gardner picks up the half point. Yeah, it was size matters sometimes. So two fellas on the wrong end of things coming together here. Well, it's must-win time for these
Hands
two.
on shoulders.
Marku got pushed right out
Get it
last
right,
time.
Jimmy. Get it right. Get your hand on the outside, Jimmy.
Lewis
Okay.
McLean obviously
Take the strain. Go.
taken to the sand, and Lewis. Oh yeah, that was easy for
Half
Lewis because
point,
Marku had
McLean.
lost his balance, and well, Jimmy's technique is all over the place, and that's ironic because back in Albania many years ago now, of course, Marku did a bit of freestyle wrestling, but it's actually going against him here. His aggression has cost him twice. Now, he was able to use his size last time. What does Gary Gardner do here against Dean Slater? They're still not quite sure. Still not quite sure where to put those hands, are they? And yeah, oh dear. Gardner's going to take some beating here.
Half point to Gardner.
I mean, that is a big, big man. He's just spun over effortlessly.
After 5 bouts, Marku's the only one left pointless. Can he make amends in the next round?
So at the halfway point, the big fella's just starting to come to grips with this, shall we say? And
Hands on.
it's about controlling that aggression for Jimmy Marku.
Ready,
He's
wrestle.
going for the full point, but every time you get aggressive and go for that full point and try to push the other guy out, you run the risk of being spun over yourself, just as Darren Sadler was there. And it was an easy half point for Marku. So do these fellas go aggressive, or do they
Hands on
try
shoulders.
and draw the other guy in? Real cat and mouse stuff going on here. McLean was spun over earlier,
Wrestle.
and they're both just thinking about this a little bit. Now we're going to have a bit of strategy, and now how are they going to rule that one? I think,
Call that 50-50. Back up on your feet.
well, I think that was a bit of a generous one,
Hands
because it
together
looked
again.
like Lewis McLean was
Right,
first
hands
to
on
hit the
shoulders.
sand there, but
Hands on shoulders.
our
Wrestle.
referee thought otherwise. And here's the aggression. Oh, and the aggression paid off. The full point for Dean Slater. So he'll feel justice was done. Let's see what happened here. Yeah, he's just got him off balance. Got him moving backwards. Oh, they do just fall together there, don't they? So maybe our referee was right. Well, everyone's got to be right once, haven't they? This one,
Hands on shoulders.
there should be a steward's inquiry on this one. I'm not sure that Gary Gardner can get his hands that low.
Wrestle.
And certainly, poor old Darren can't get his hands that high. Oh, but what's going on here?
Out.
What a shot!
Point to Sadler.
Well. He needed a chair to try and get level, eye to eye. But he didn't need a chair for the technique here, did he? A little fella using his leverage and using his superior balance just gets the big fella moving. And out. The bigger they come.
Darren Sadler bounces back from the disappointment of the barrel and sack race to take his 3rd win out of 4. But it's a win shared with Birmingham's Dean Slater. Sadler moves back to the top of the standings ahead of Marku. Gardner and Slater must start looking for wins in the final 2 events. Dean, congratulations. Pretty frantic stuff there, but you've come out on top, equal with Darren.
Yeah, it's very close between all of us. It's a hard event to pick who's going to do well and who's going to do bad, because it's kind of like a lottery, you know. You don't know what's going to happen in the wrestling. So I'm happy with that.
Now, how did you approach this? Was there any particular tactic that you adopted?
Well, we was all warming up there, and we was all, you know, trying things out and stuff. But I mean, I didn't have any tactics at all. And if you have got tactics, when you're actually here and you're doing it, they just go out the window, you know. You just get on with it.
Now, this is the first time we've had wrestling in Britain's Strongest Man. How did you find it?
Well, I was probably most nervous about this event because Jimmy was a championship wrestler a long time ago, and he's in our group, so obviously no one wanted to wrestle him. But it turned out quite well for me, so I'm happy.
I'm not surprised. Well done. Congratulations.
But has success come at a price for Darren Sadler?
Well, Darren, that was crazy stuff out there, and you've been in the wars. What's up?
Nothing serious, I don't think. I just felt my hamstring just pull a little bit, so I thought, as a precaution, I'd ice it. Just a little bit sore, but I don't think it's anything too serious. But obviously, we've got a long way to go, so I don't want to be having injuries, really.
Well, you ended up on top level with Dean. Were you happy with that result?
Yeah, because I didn't know, we're not wrestlers, we're strongmen, so we didn't know where we'd end up. So joint first will do for me, because it could have just easily been last, because, it's over very fast. Before you know it, you've got face full of sand.
So after the lottery of the wrestling, it's back to more classical strongman for our 5 big guys.
Now, it's just a short bumper car ride from the beach to the fairground here at Butlins. Normally a place for fun and frivolity, but when our athletes face their next challenge, it'll be no laughing matter. It's the deadlift.
Martin, let me show you the technique. It isn't exactly very difficult. You just have to grip the bar and rip it. 250 kilos is the opening weight. That's 40 stone in the hands. Then, if you're successful, a barrel will drop in. And the weight goes up and up and up, ending on 330 kilos.
Well, Gary Gardner, the man with that huge wingspan, needed a really good performance to keep in touch with the leaderboard. 4 lifts in just under 22 seconds, and it was painful. Lewis McLean was up next. He managed the same number of lifts, but a bit quicker.
Next up from England, Darren Sadler.
And it's another one of those events that's made for Darren. Short, squat, compact.
Take your grip.
And it's an event he knows well. He's had some success at it. Look at the size of those thighs.
Ready? Yep. Lift.
Here he goes. He knows what he's got to beat. He will beat that quite comfortably, you would think. Here's lift number 2, and the barrels start to roll in. Looking good so far. Good rhythm. Excellent technique.
I'm sure he'll beat the other 2 at this. This is an event he did very badly at World's Strongest Man. Really disappointed himself last year, but he's gone away and trained very hard. There you go, he's in the lead now. Get your hips in.
Yep, here come the barrels. Just one more after this, and still going strong. 6. And you know he's going to want to just put this one in, just to put a little marker down. Not only to the rest of this competition, no, he's just thinking, hang on a minute, I need to just get the chalk going there. There is no problem with the clock. But what kind of marker can he put down for future competitions? This man's already looking ahead to the world's strongest man when he knows he's going to have to get all 7. But he's going to have to settle for 6 there. A very quick time, 31.85.
Well, look at him walking away there, very stiff. Wonder if the hamstring's hurting.
Next up from England, Dean Slater.
My name's Dean Slater. I'm 33 years old, I'm from Birmingham, and I'm a chef in a children's nursery. I do the cooking for the children. We have them from 6 weeks up until 4 years old, and you find that they're really open-minded and really innocent at that age, so they're not put off by the way you look at all. And the tattoos, that was because I used to be in a rock band before I was doing this. We was gigging pretty much on a regular basis for about 6 years. So yeah, it was good fun. I enjoyed it. It was an experience. Obviously, I realised that the way I look, some people, might be not afraid but weary. Being tagged as the dark horse, it's got good points and bad points. I mean, it's nice to have the respect from the other competitors, but then also you feel pressure as well that you've got to perform really well. I'd say my favourite and best event's the deadlift. I've always enjoyed deadlifting, but I know in my group there's another couple of guys who are very good on the deadlift. Well, thankfully I've never got injured in the competition. It's always when I've been warming up in the gym training, so hopefully I won't get injured during the competition.
Yeah, we've had 1 or 2 injuries floating around, haven't we? We've got the hamstring for Darren Sadler, Jimmy Mark, who had that car crash a day or 2 ago. But
Ready?
good competition he's had. He's really enjoyed himself here, Dean Slater, so far. No question.
Look how fast he was off the ground as well. He's got a very strong back and long arms. Marku's watching with interest.
Yeah, with those stitches in the wound that you can see there as well.
Down, good lift.
Yeah, that's a fast time as well, so we'll get good points here once again. Will Slater. Now this is 6. Oh, it's a terrific effort this from Slater. We'll be getting the stopwatches out. Oh, we might not need him if he gets the 7th. This to go into first place, and listen to those fans really giving him plenty of encouragement, and he's putting everything he's got into it. Not quite there. Oh, and he's now hang on. Oh, that's not good.
Okay, doctor.
Yeah, that is not good. That could be a torn biceps muscle. And we'll have to get the medics to take a look at that, but Dean knew immediately that something was wrong.
He's trying to change his grip with 330 kilos in the hand. It was a difficult maneuver with half the weight. Let's hope that hasn't cost him.
From England, Jimmy Marku.
Yes, Jimmy, so popular here. Well, if Dean is knocked out of this competition,
Take your grip.
Jimmy won't have to do much to qualify in a top 2 spot. But he won't be thinking about that. This man is a natural competitor. He'll want to beat Darren Sadler. They don't not get on, but there's a little bit of rivalry between the two of them, isn't there? Whenever they go up against each other, they're always close. There's never anything between them, and it's so nip and tuck. You imagine they'd want to beat each other in a 50-meter race across the sand. They're those kind of people.
Let's not forget that Jimmy got beaten into 4th place in the final last year. Darren took 3rd. This is the money one then.
Have a bit of that, Darren Sadler. That's what Jimmy Marku was saying there. He wiped the floor with that one and made it look very easy.
Well, Jimmy, that was very impressive. It's put you in a commanding position in your heat.
I'm quite happy with that, but I think I could do it just a little bit fast.
Yeah, we were all thinking you were a bit sluggish when you're moving those things along. How could you have been a bit quicker?
Just move my ass a little bit.
Delicately put. Now, the crowd appreciated it. You really seem to milk the crowd for everything you can. Are they a big part of your performance?
Oh, yeah, I'd like to thank the crowd because they've been great support to all of us, so thanks very much to all of them.
Well, we'll let you go and catch your breath. Thanks for talking.
Thank you.
A convincing win by Marku, who's the only man to lift the full 7 barrels and 330 kilos. Sadler's 6 lifts give him 2nd. In the overall standings, Marku retakes the lead with a very brave Dean Slater in 3rd. If the man from Birmingham can't continue, the top 2 will have secured their place in the final. Join us after the break to see if he can recover.
Welcome back to Minehead. It's been an exhausting day for our athletes, but the finish line is in sight. That's the good news. The bad news is, you know how strongman finishes.
So far, our athletes have pushed, pulled, run and thrown. Now the finishing line is tantalisingly close, but one test still remains. Strongman's signature event, the Atlas Stones.
5 stones, and it starts with this 120-kilo beauty right here. It has to be lifted onto the 6-foot platform. Then, in ascending order, we move up the stones to the big daddy at the end. 160 kilos, and it has to be lifted onto this 5-footer. But at the end of all this, it'll feel like 10 foot.
But are we down to 4 strongmen? It's not looking good for Dean Slater.
So, Doc, in terms that we can understand, nothing overly medical, what's he done to his arm?
Basically, Dean has torn his medial biceps.
And Dean, when it went, did you know immediately what you'd done?
Yeah, it feels like you've got an elastic band in your arm and it's just dying. That's what it felt like. You know? So you know it's gone straight away.
And Doc, how long would it normally take for this to heal up?
Well, hopefully he'll be back now within a year. But you can't rush these injuries.
Well, Dean, we wish you the best.
Cheers, thanks.
Well, absolutely devastating for Dean Slater.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your first 2 competitors.
And these fellas have enjoyed themselves, though, Gary Gardner and Lewis McLean.
From Scotland, Lewis McLean. From England, Gary Gardner.
And it's all about taking steps up the ladder in strongman. You don't just jump right into world class. You get there in stages. And it's been a terrific learning experience once again for these two fellas. And competition being what it is, both of them will want to beat each other. There's a chance to finish third in this heat, which would be no disgrace. Gardner's off to a flyer. Lewis slow and steady, but this is where that big wingspan can really help you.
Oh, and also his height. The 6 foot platform at the start there was nothing for him. You see Lewis, 6'2", and it was very difficult.
And that last stone seems to weigh so much, but look at that. No problems for Gardner. Lewis is still working it. And everybody cheering the Scot on. They want to see him finish this, including Gary Gardner, of course. He's there offering his support, but anytime it goes back down, you know it's not coming up, and Lewis has looked at that stone and said, you beat me. 4 stones in 34.78 for the Scot.
Well, Lewis, not quite got all the stones up and not through to the final, but are you happy with your performances through the competition?
No, not at all. Didn't go well at all this year, but we'll just have to try again next year.
And Gary, bit of a surprise package, nearly made it through, but not quite. Bigger and better next year?
Definitely. I'll be back next year. Surprised a few people, but I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Well done. Ladies and gentlemen, give him a huge cheer.
Yeah, they'll be back next year, those two fellas. You get the feeling these two will be back next year as well. It's the final we expected, the qualifiers we expected.
Ready?
And they can resume their own personal duel here. Look at Jimmy saying, well, I'm in no rush.
Wow, these two guys are both carrying quite bad injuries. Jimmy, of course, with the damaged head, and he's hurt his back a bit as well now. Darren's got the sore hamstring. It's a bit of cat and mouse here, because whoever wins this actually wins the heat on overall points. So,
and I think Jimmy's just saying that's enough. Hey, I'm injured, you're injured, let's pack it in right here. Yeah, that's it. Well, a bit of an anti-climax, it has to be said, but, well, they've done enough, haven't they?
Well, gentlemen, congratulations. You're both through to the final, and we should explain, you guys are highly competitive. The only reason you wouldn't go crazy on that, you're both carrying injuries, and you both know that you're through to the final. Darren, how's the leg holding up?
Yeah, it's not bad, but obviously I want as good a chance as I can in the final. Last thing I wanted to do was hurt it on the stones when I don't need to. So we just did what we had to do, I suppose.
And Jimmy, bit of a back injury for you?
Yeah, I had a back injury for 2 days, so thanks God I'm through now. So I will perform a little bit better probably in the final. We make sure we entertain the crowd in the final, definitely. I'll lift at least 3 stones, I guarantee them.
I'm sure you'll do more than that. Give him a huge cheer. They're through the final. Darren, Jimmy. Well, with Slater forced to retire and Marcoux and Sadler having one eye on the final, it's Gary Gardner who takes his first win of the heat ahead of McLean. And there's nothing to separate either Marcoux or Sadler in the final scores. 21 points each. Will it be this close in the final? Well, Darren, after quite a battle, he picked up a bit of a leg injury going through those heats. Do you think that's going to hamper you in the final?
Yeah, I've pulled my hamstring. All I can do is just see how it hampers me. I'll just get on with things, and hopefully it shouldn't cause me too much trouble. If it does, it does, but I'm going to have to just get my head down and deal with it.
So after that titanic struggle, Darren Sadler and Jimmy Marcoux booked the first 2 places in the final, but who will join them? We'll see you next time as we continue our search for Britain's strongest man.
Dame Kelly's Reds are up against Roger Black's Yellows as the competition grows ever more fierce. The new series of Superstars continues this Friday at 8 on 5.